It was a crisp spring morning, the kind that stings your cheeks but makes you feel alive. Clara Thompson, a retired librarian with a knack for precision, was out in her garden, tending to her roses with the same care she once gave to cataloging books. Her lawn, trimmed to perfection, sparkled with dew under the rising sun. Clara was a neighborhood staple known for her quiet dignity and unwavering respect for rules, a habit honed over decades of shushing noisy patrons and enforcing due dates. But that morning, her peaceful routine was about to be torn apart in a way no one could have predicted. 3 men strutted down her street, their uniforms emblazoned with the logo of the Homeowners Association. They moved with a cocky swagger, like they owned the place. Clara's stomach twisted as they approached her, their boots crunching on her pristine gravel path. The leader, a tall guy with a clipboard and a sneer, gave her a curt nod. "Ma'am, we've got complaints. Your lawn's an inch too tall. Noncompliance." Clara blinked, almost laughing at the absurdity. An inch? Her lawn was her pride, measured with a ruler every week. "There must be a mistake," she said, her voice steady but firm, the way she'd once corrected a misquoted author. "Can you show me the rule?" The men exchanged a look that sent a shiver down her spine. The second guy, shorter and smug, stepped closer. "Noncompliance means penalties, lady." Clara held her ground, her years of dealing with unruly library VY citers kicking in. "I'd like to see the documentation," she insisted. But instead of a rule book, the leader's face hardened, his fake CIVY lighty slipping like a cheap mask. "We don't have time for questions. You're in violation, and there are consequences." Before she could react, they grabbed her. Clara's protests echoed through the quiet street as they dragged her to a nearby street pole, the cold metal biting into her back as they bound her wrists with rope. Her heart pounded, not just with fear but with a spark of defiance. Across the street, a neighbor's phone camera caught every second of the nightmare, a silent promise that this wouldn't stay hidden. By noon, the neighborhood was buzzing. Clara's son, Michael, got the call from a shaken neighbor and raced home, his blood boiling at the thought of his mother as rock, the woman who'd raised him with stories and structure humiliated like some criminal. The VY Deo was already spreading, a grainy testament to the cruelty of these so-called HOA enforcers. Michael watched it, his fists clenched as Clara stood tied to the pole, her chin high despite the ropes. The men, draped in their fake uniforms, smirked like they were untouchable. But they'd miscalculated. They hadn't just attacked Clara, they'd woken a sleeping giant. The neighborhood, usually a place of polite nods and white picket fences, erupted into a fury. Neighbors who'd once kept to themselves poured onto the streets, their faces a mix of shock and rage. Whispers turned into shouts, violation, defiance. The words became a battle cry. Michael, who'd always played peacemaker in past HOA spats, felt something shift inside him. This wasn't just about his mom, Anna Maria, it was about the trust they'd all taken for granted, shredded in broad daylight. He started digging, talking to neighbors who admitted they'd been bullied by these men too fine for nonsense, threatened into silence. Most had complied, too scared to fight back. But Michael wasn't most people. Late one night, a stack of crumpled papers slid under his door. Inside, one name appeared over and over. Randall. It rang a bell, faint but persistent. Fueled by coffee and a burning need for answers, Michael scoured old HOA records online. Randall Hayes, a former committee head, had been kicked out years ago for skimming funds and strong-arming residents. Bitter and vengeful, he'd recruited a crew of misfits to pose as enforcers, wielding fake authority to settle old scores. Michael's jaw tightened. These weren't HOA officers, they were vigilantes, and Clara had been their latest target. He called a secret meeting at his house, the Lee VY Ing room packed with neighbors, their faces lit with outrage as he laid out the truth. Randall and his goons weren't just bullies, they were frauds, preying on the community's trust. The room buzzed with plans, a mix of anger and hope. They'd strike at the next fake HOA meeting, a sham event Randall had planned to broadcast live for local media, thinking it'd cement his power. Instead, it'd be his undoing. The day arrived, the air electric with anticipation. A crowd gathered in the neighborhood square. The same pole where Clara had been tied, now looming in the background. Michael stood on a makeshift stage, a laptop hooked to a giant screen. His hand shook, but his voice was steady as he hit play. The VY Deo roared to life, showing Randall and his men in their full Aragonstein Clara, laughing, their faces clear as day. Gasps rippled through the crowd, followed by shouts. The imposters, standing smugly nearby, froze as their masks fell. The screen was merciless, exposing every detail of their cruelty. Their bravado melted into panic, their eyes darting for an escape that didn't exist. The crowd's anger boiled over, a tide of righteous fury. "Chain them to the pole," someone yelled, and the chant spread like wildfire. Neighbors surged forward, dragging Randall and his men to the very pole they'd used to shame Clara. Chains clinked, heavy and final, as the imposters were bound, their fake uniforms stripped away, Leah VYing them exposed literally and figuratively. Cameras flashed, not just from neighbors, but from news crews who'd caught wind of the scandal. The men's faces burned with shame, their power reduced to nothing under the midday sun. Clara, now free and standing tall, watched from the crowd, her eyes fierce with pride. The pole, once a symbol of her humiliation, became a monument to justice. Flowers and ribbons soon adorned it, tributes from a grateful community. Kids played nearby, their laughter erasing the memory of fear. The story exploded beyond the neighborhood. VY Rel, VY Deos, and news reports replaying the imposter's downfall. Coffee shops hummed with talk of the uprising, and neighbors who'd once avoided eye contact now shared smiles, their bond forged in rebellion. A new council formed, led by Sarah, a book club organizer with a knack for fairness. Weekly park meetings turned the pole into a notice board for cookouts and garden plans, its grim past replaced by pinwheels and lanterns. Clara, the spark of it all, walked the streets with a quiet strength, greeted by nods of respect. The community had changed, not just healed, but reborn, stronger than ever. But as the dust settled, questions lingered, sharp and unsettling. Was the crowd's justice too harsh, stripping the men bare for all to see? Did Clara's defiance spark a revolution, or did it unleash a mob? Could this happen again, right under our noses if we let our guard down? Share your thoughts below, like if you felt the rush of their VY Tory, and subscribe for more stories that'll make you question everything. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story on Store of Good Stories. If this story touched your heart or made you think, don't forget to hit like and share the video to spread this positive message to more people. And if this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the meaningful stories we share every week. Your support is the biggest motivation for Store of Good Stories to keep bringing heartfelt and valuable stories to you. See you in the next video.